This question wants us to think about how text 2 would respond to the consensus view in text 1. So I'm going to read text 2 first so I can get a sense of what they believe, and then hopefully that will inform my understanding of text 1. So let's start here. While acknowledging that acquiring information is a powerful motivator, these people ran an experiment to test whether emphasizing the usefulness of scientific information could increase curiosity about it. So just a pause there. This is already sounding like one of those things where I want to kind of use some arrows, some ups and down arrows to kind of indicate what's happening. Now, technically, if I'm going to really dumb summarize this, they're going to say usefulness. If you increase the usefulness, you increase curiosity. I don't really understand what that means. Plus, technically, at this stage, they don't know. They haven't said anything. It's a question mark, but it's a 2-sentence passage. I'm assuming they're going to say something. So let's see what they say. They found that when research involving rats and fruit flies was presented as having medical applications for humans, so it's useful, participants expressed greater interest, so yeah, in learning about it than when the research was not presented as useful. So the interest is the curiosity, and yes, if it's in, so basically the second sentence is saying they sought to figure out this question, and the answer is it's exactly as they expected, right? The more you present it as useful, the more curious people will be about it. So cool, but we got to know what this person would say about what text 1 is saying, the consensus view in text 1. So I got to read that. But now that I know what text 2 says, I think it's going to be easier for me to kind of almost like anticipate a reaction to text 1. So let's see. Many studies in psychology have shown that people seek out information even when they know in advance that they have no immediate use for it and that they won't directly benefit from it. Such findings support the consensus view among researchers of curiosity, and now we've got a colon telling us we're going to get the consensus view, namely that curiosity is not instrumental, but instead represents a drive to acquire information for its own sake. So this is saying the opposite thing, which doesn't surprise me because that's how most of these cross-text connections questions work. So this is just saying that usefulness does not matter, right? Or yeah, does not equal. Here, we can even do that. Let's keep it to math here. Usefulness does not matter for curiosity, right? People just, they're curious. They want to learn things for its own sake, right? So that means just for the sake of learning more things. And there's lots of places here where they're kind of saying that the usefulness is not important. So these people clearly disagree. So what would text 2 say to text 1? Probably something like usefulness does matters. A lot of passages come down to that. Does something matter or not? So let's see what the choices say. Let's see if we can get something out of that. By suggesting that curiosity may not be exclusively motivated by the desire to merely acquire information, well, that's a fancy way of saying that usefulness matters because something else could matter, right? If it's merely to acquire information, that just means I just want to know things. I don't care what the use of that knowledge is. I just want to know things. But text 2 would say that curiosity is not exclusively or only motivated by that just kind of desire to learn more. It's also motivated by the usefulness of that information because that's what their study found, that if you tell people it's going to be useful, they're more interested in it. So, there's a lot of tough words in here. I don't think it comes out and says exactly what I want it to say directly. So I'm doing a little bit of work to see that this choice is actually probably right. But I wouldn't, at this point, pick it. I need to know what the other choices say. So let's look at B. By conceding that people may seek out information that serves no immediate purpose, only, that's a very strong word, because they think they can use it later. Well, he's not conceding that. Conceding that people may seek out information that serves no immediate purpose only because they think they can use it later. Whether they use it immediately or later isn't really about the usefulness here. So this is introducing a common kind of trap idea. They're introducing this element of time. But passage 2 was not telling us that something is more or less interesting because it's useful now versus useful later. There was just a kind of, is it useful or not, right? Is it presented as useful or not? So we don't want to start comparing when things are useful, the time that information will be useful. That is adding an extra element. So that's sneaky because that actually does sound a lot like choice A in certain ways. But because I'm thinking about those common trap answers and I recognize that introducing differences in timing that is a common way to make an answer choice stronger or more extreme than it really should be. So I'm kind of conditioned to notice those things, and that's good because now that answer choice I can confidently eliminate. Let's look at C. By pointing out that it is challenging to determine when information seeking serves no goal beyond acquiring information. No, the text 2 isn't just like saying, well, we can't know anything about why people seek out information. It's too hard. He has an experiment, or they have an experiment that they do, and that they find that it's not maybe that challenging. They did it, so they succeeded. This is just kind of beyond what we're even talking about. This is criticizing like the whole ability to study this particular thing. But since like the whole point of passage 2 is that they did a study and they found something about what people are motivated by, that kind of undermines choice C. Choice D, by disputing the idea that curiosity can help explain apparently purposeless information-seeking behaviors. So this is so backwards. I know what they're doing here. They're making all these choices hard by like having a lot of double negatives, but they're disputing the idea. So let's just think about this part. The idea that curiosity can help explain apparently purposeless information-seeking behaviors. Well, they agree that people use curiosity to seek out information, right? That's kind of the first part of passage 2, while acknowledging that acquiring information is a powerful motivator. That's acknowledging that curiosity can help explain purposeless information-seeking behavior. People are just curious about things. He's not disputing that idea. He's not saying that there's no reason anyone would ever find information that they didn't think was useful. They're just saying there's this element on top of that, right? People are curious, but you can make them even more curious by explaining to them why this information is useful. So he's not disputing this idea. They do disagree. So I understand why this is a trap. They want you to notice the disagreement and focus exclusively on the disagreement word in choice D. But the what are they disagreeing about is important here. And the rest of choice B is not something they disagree on. It's actually something they agree on. They agree that people do want to learn things just for its own sake. What they disagree on, or at least what passage 2 maybe is emphasizing more, is that there are ways to increase curiosity, and making something, explaining why it's useful is their way of kind of experimenting with that. So I know people are going to pick D. I think people could end up picking at every answer here. I think all of them have something that's a little tempting, but this is a hard question. This is definitely a question that I think is very difficult. The College Board rates this as a medium difficulty question. I don't know. What do you think? Put in the comments. I think this is on the harder side of things. At least just my experience working with students, I think a lot of them are going to get something like this wrong. So I don't know what that means in terms of the difficulties the College Board throws out there, but certainly to me, had some challenging pieces. So let me know what you think in the comments.